So, can you first explain to us what is the pay package of MP like or either Adun like as well?
For me, the better way to look at it is the total pay package, because sometimes the division of it you can quarrel left, quarrel right, but in the end of the day, it's the what they take back in total lah. So for MPs is.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Are We OK Season 2, and this is Peter, Mr. Money.
Hey, and I'm Rajiv, and I'm glad to be back.
All right, Rajiv. So, how are you over the past 1 week?
I guess okay. Not a bad week. Typical, I guess, in most sense.
Typical,
Typical, but the typical is also good from time to time.
So this week we have a couple of news that I thought will be quite interesting.
Alright.
Basically, just three things that we're going to talk about lah.
Okay.
But we go a bit more in depth.
Alright,
one of the things that really I want to ask you is this. So recently, MCA and MIC has spoken up and they say that they may want to leave Barisan Nasional and join PN. How do you feel about that?
Please go.
I can't laugh like that. Right? I want to ask.
Yes, you can laugh like that. You know what? I think half our audience is laughing like that.
Okay. So, my question to you is this. Do you think this kind of signifies the end of Barisan Nasional? Because then the important party that's left, I mean, it used to be Barisan Nasional, the three big parties, right?
Yeah.
UMNO, MCA, MIC. But now the other two party left already. Then only about UMNO. Then it's basically UMNO party in the sense, although they are smaller component parties, but at least in Semenanjung, right?
Yeah. So we grew up with this era of BN having like 13 parties or so, a lot of parties, and now it's down to 4. Actually, the smaller parties all left already after 2018. The MCA and MIC still remain until now. The very top leaders may be a bit hesitant to leave. I mean, so far they are not the ones who say they want to leave. But I can understand the sentiment of the middle management, the state leaders and whatnot. They want to go. I think the treatment that they feel that they are getting from BN right now is not the best. In fact, since 2008, they're kind of sidelined. Ever since the political landscape shifted in 2008, and the non-Malay support has kind of left BN. Arguably to the fault of UMNO actually. But nonetheless, MCA and MIC have become far less important to UMNO. I mean, look at BN seats. Out of the 30 seats that BN has, 26 are UMNO seats.
That's right.
2 MCA, 1 MIC. That's it.
And there's also no ministerial position for them.
No ministerial. I mean, you only have 2 MCA MPs and 1 MIC MPs. What ministerial position you asking for? When BN got their quota of ministership position in the negotiation with Harapan, and when we formed the coalition government, one needs to also don't wonder why didn't UMNO give 1 or 2 deputy ministers to MCA and MIC. But for reasons best known to UMNO, or maybe they feel that there's really no value add from MCA and MIC, they didn't give any. So I can understand, the grassroots annoyed. The grassroots that have been loyal to the party, every election campaign come out, wear the baju, go and do work, go do the walkabout house to house, do the temple visits and everything, trying to get as much support as they can for PN. Not easy, Can you imagine that you are Chinese or Indian in the last 3 elections wearing the BN shirt?
Oh,
and
man.
You're trying to go and canvass to your fellow Chinese and Indians with your BN shirt.
That's right. Wow,
you get mocked, people chase you away, people laugh at you, people mock you. It has not been easy for them.
Yes.
And but, arguably they should not be doing that in the first place. They should have left a long time ago.
I mean, I still remember very clearly the last round, there was a particular, I'm not sure whether it was MP, but he said something and he was nearby Taman Tunan and everyone was mocking him. Yeah, and then there were videos that people, when he went and talked to people and people just walked up to him and say, you are dirty. Stuff like that, saying that you are not dirty, you are a dirty politician, and right to your face, man.
Yes.
It was
right
so bad.
Right to their face.
It was so bad. It's like your association with BN itself already kind of links you as a betrayal of people to a certain extent.
Betrayal of the people on 2 levels. And the betrayal of your race and betrayal of dirty is in financially also. Deemed to be corrupt just because you're in that party. So everyone just assume the only reason you're there is because you're taking some project.
So then the question now is this, right? What do you see the future of MCA and MIC is.
To be quite frank, and if you want to be fair to them, they are stuck between a rock and a hard place. A lot of their grassroots members are frustrated with the current situation, so they will say, let's leave. Let's go to PN. PN got no Chinese party. PN got small Indian party. But if we go there, then suddenly we become the Chinese and Indian leaders of the country if PN wins. Let's take the gamble. Let's go there. PN win. They need Chinese minister. They need Indian minister.
There's at least some sort of upside.
There's an upside. Like, we can get something. They need Chinese and Indian state excos. They need Chinese and Indian municipal councillors. So let's go there. Whatever it is, we get some quota. If we stay here in this Kerajaan Perpaduan, whenever the government forms, DAP will take all the Chinese and Indian quota and PKI will take some. Then, there will be no future for us here. But the problem with this thinking is also not thinking too long-sighted. Because being an Indian party and a Chinese party, your truest match is your UMNO, your Malay-only party. If you jump to Perikatan now, everything that you were against in Perikatan and everything that the society is against in Perikatan, after all, Perikatan is basically riding on 100% Malay votes. Virtually
Pass vote, to be exact.
Pass vote, but virtually no non-Malay supports Perikatan as it stands today. And it has been from the beginning of Perikatan. So if they jump there, will they attract any Chinese and Indian along to vote for Perikatan? I really don't think so. Then will Perikatan give them face? I think in the good of times, Perikatan will say, yes, my Chinese brother, my Indian brother. And then they'll stand on stage together. But then when it comes to the crux of running the government, if they win one day, will this MC and MIC leaders have any say? I don't think so. Because then the past leaders which will probably dominate any future Perikatan government, if any government was to happen, will say, they carried all the weight. The reason why they won the election is because of PAS. MC and MIC didn't contribute anything. Freeloader. So you come along as a freeloader, you make my optics look good. And that's proven. Look at Gerakan. Gerakan is there.
Oh, yeah.
The Gerakan guy, sits in all the presidential council meetings. He's next to Hadi Awang all the time. In whatever pictures, next to Muhyiddin, next to Hadi Awang because, he's party president. But I think there is not a single Malaysian that buys it that Gerakan is part of governing Perikatan. They will see Bersatu and PAS having to give and take between each other in terms of everything that Perikatan decides. But I don't think anyone will buy it that Gerakan has any say in anything that Perikatan decides to do.
Doesn't look like it.
And the same fate will fall upon MCA and MIC. And the thing is, because they also don't add value, they are also easily discardable. Now, the thing is, once you jump one time, and then if you are discarded by PN, then you are really top kedai after that. You become an NGO.
Yeah.
You have no more political future anymore.
So here's where they want to bring to, right?
Yeah.
I think that the move of jumping out, it is a very high stakes move. If next term you really end up contributing to have more, say, Chinese votes or Indian vote or non-Malay vote going into PN, then you have something to shout about.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't move the needle at all,
I really cannot see how you move the needle.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to go anywhere,
Yeah.
What happens is that, like you say, it will not be a political party. It may mark a real end to it.
Yes.
And it's also quite interesting to see that a party that has been ruling Malaysia for so long, a coalition reached such a sharp decline in a very short period of time from 2018.
Yeah.
It just went downhill straight away. And just within, it took 60 years to build up. And it just went downhill in 10 years or less.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And now, it's going to split apart. And then if, let's say, you go into PN, it doesn't work out, basically, who are you? Yeah.
You're nothing already. I think it's game over for them. Whether they leave BN or they don't leave BN, it's game over.
Yeah.
But if they stay in BN, at least they can, this is, this is where we started, this is where we keep going. And you somehow go along with the ride. Now, they have state positions. They may not have any cabinet positions, but they have state positions, especially in Johor. So they are part of the Johor state government. In Melaka also they have positions. So the races where BN is running the state government. So the most strongest state government that BN has is Melaka and Johor because BN win by themselves. They don't have to share power. Melaka share power with Harapan a little bit. Johor is totally a BN government. Then the BN is also in coalition government with Harapan in Pahang and Perak. But this is where MCA and MIC still get some positions. And they're going to kiss all of that goodbye if they jump. If they jump, they kiss all of that goodbye. The second thing is your 3 MPs, which are also quite the top leaders of both parties, are going to lose out their government privileges. So their allocation as well as access to government functions, access to officers and whatnot if they jump. And I feel that they will be very reluctant to jump because it will make their life a lot more difficult once they jump.
Yeah.
So I think at the very top, they will still be very careful and reluctant. They also get senators today. But if you're in the federal opposition, then it's the end of your senatorship. You don't get senators. Yeah. So these are the things that are not so prominent, because what's prominent is the cabinet positions. So they do have things that they get, but it's not so prominent. And their grassroots have to weigh, do we want to make a stand? And I think it's very easy for grassroots to make a stand, because it is very easy for people to paint them in the picture that, hey, guys, you are boxed out. You got no future. But the problem is they got no future because they got no future in either side of the aisle. It's not like they leave and they will get a better future.
So here's where, right, I want to highlight this thing about MCA. So I was just thinking of myself, if today I'm an MCA president or MIC president, what would I do? Because really, the party is in a mess. Yeah, and all these are not even external forces that are killing you, it's internally. Because if today you ask this question, what does MCA or MIC stand for? I don't think many people can really answer that.
I think they stood for one thing publicly. But then after 2018, when the federal government changed, that stand is blown out of the water.
Yeah.
What they stood for was the whole notion of stability. UMNO, MCA, MIC, together, this three-legged stool will bring the country stability.
That's right.
No racial riots, and the stability is worth everything else.
Yeah.
So close your eyes to
stability,
to whatever racial discrimination you think you may face. Close your eyes to whatever corruption you think you see, because stability. No more May 13.
Correct.
But after 2018, now it's 2018, now it's 2025. 7 years have gone by. I think the racial stability, you cannot sell anymore.
Correct.
Game over lah.
So that's why I think the issue about MCA and MIC is this. They need a renewed sense of
purpose.
What do they stand for, right? A purpose, right?
They need a sense of purpose.
Yeah, they need a sense of purpose. Because if not, it's like, while there's a party leader standing there, but to a certain extent, everyone is each to its own, at this point.
When you talk about renewed sense of purpose, then what will they be? What, a party of climate change? A party of infrastructure development? A party for what? Because
that's right.
Then whatever they decide, they better just disband their Chineseness and their Indianness already lah, because now they are becoming issue-based party.
Precisely.
So if you become issue-based party, then there is absolutely no more excuse to continue being a Chinese party and an Indian party. So can they transform so radically? This is the party that maybe for too many decades have been very comfortable living on the UMNO shadow. Now UMNO do all the heavy lifting, UMNO get the Malay vote, UMNO win the government, and in return,
we just ride along.
We ride along. We get the ministership, we get the GLCs, we get the government contracts, we get the licenses and whatnot. The gravy train kind of stopping. Now they cannot really feel the gravy train because UMNO is not the prime minister. So what to do? Turn left, turn right, also die.
Correct. And that's why I think, right, I would like to suggest a better option.
What's your better option?
Yeah. MCA and MIC merge. And then open it up for all races. So there is no more race-based party.
All right.
But an issue-based party, like what you say, and champion for one thing.
Okay.
Reformation. It's very ironic.
Yeah,
people won't buy. Everyone is going to laugh. Everyone's going to laugh. Okay?
You're right.
Everyone's going to laugh. Okay? I'll just put it, everyone's going to laugh.
Hey guys, if you're laughing from watching at home or in the car, can you leave a comment there like, I'm laughing out loud?
Everyone's going to laugh. I was thinking about it. I also want to laugh. Okay? I'll just put it this way. But you see, you turn left, turn right, also die anyway. At least if you... Okay, assuming if you stay in PN, you become irrelevant entirely, you're going to die in a few years. Okay? You go to PN, you're also going to mati. Okay?
Yeah.
You go to this, people laugh at you, but at least this is a purpose that's aligned to people, because a lot of people are also still trying to push for certain reformations that they feel Prime Minister Anwar is not bringing in yet, So don't see yourself as number one, they have to stop viewing themselves as the incumbent. I think they still have the mentality, the way they do things are as if that they are still in power kind of style, right? It's not like last time when DAP time, PAS kind. Until today, the way DAP and PAS operate, they have to adapt from the other side to be the incumbent rather than the challenger. I think the same goes otherwise with MCA and MIC, right? They have to switch roles and move, right? And you can clearly see the problem play out is because if you look at the individual MCA and MIC guys, right? Actually, over the last few years, many of them jump ship already. That's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easier to be the incumbent than to be a challenger.
Yes.
And that's why many of them shift. And now whoever that's left back, you either switch earlier or you would have just,
I tell you, maybe that's a very idealistic position on paper, but it would be very difficult to pull off. The community's skepticism will be sky high. Like, you want to change your name, you want to suddenly get a new agenda.
Which means, in my opinion, is this. The whole top leadership, this has to be top down. Which means to a certain extent, all the top leaders have to let go of their position to a certain extent. Whether or not you resign as a president, you need to send off a very clear signal, just like Anthony Loke and DAP did it very well in terms of succession planning. It was a very clear signal that it's going to be a new era of leadership.
Okay.
I think, in my opinion, if they want to be at all relevant, that's probably the only way to go. And then you wait for another 5 years, 10 years, you will eventually be able to garner that kind of,
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be able to garner at least a little bit of attention. And there will be those people who are saying that, hey, I mean, just like Singapore's political landscape is, right? Many of the opposition party know this one thing. I may not win, but I want to create a place where we can voice out quality opposition opinions, right? And this is something that I think MCA and MIC has not been really raising many quality opposition kind of voices. Every time when someone speaks up or make a statement.
Yeah, so I think I remain skeptical if this can ever be pulled off. But
it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. But
out of three choices, I would say that this one, at least, you die with a bit of dignity.
If not, the next, you die with a bit of dignity. Maybe the other option is you just count that UMNO will never die. If UMNO never die, then you just ride along with UMNO forever and eever lah.
There's no dignity in that.
No dignity.
There's no dignity in that.
I think nearly all our viewers will agree that the dignity was lost a long time ago. But just ride with UMNO lah. As long as you bet that UMNO will never totally die, UMNO also not kicking you out.
Right.
You see, whatever tantrum they're showing, right? Zahid is not really layaning them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not kicking them out. So okay lah, you just ride along lah. Then you just throw tantrum once in a while. You keep the status quo lah, because in life sometimes the easiest thing to do is to keep the status quo. You do your plan. You need to do so much of work to reinvent the wheel, to how much of effort you need to do what the rebranding and the publicity, national tours and social media tours, and trying to persuade the public like this is something worth supporting. So much of work. Now no need to do any work. Now just sit back, chill, get a few government positions here and there, secondary government positions. Don't know what else you get on the side, but just sit back.
At least something.
Yes,
maybe a senatorship.
Because there's also this principle of incumbency. That means the 2 seats that MCA won and the 1 seat that MIC won, they will 99% get to contest back those seats. And under this current climate, it is very likely that those 3 seats, they will still be able to retain in the next election. So, still got 1 MP, still got 2 MP for MCA, still got some aduns, especially in Johor. Still got some positions here and there. Got something not to say got nothing at all So reinvent the wheel, like you totally give up everything for nothing. So far the evidence is the very top leaders are in the do nothing mode.
Yes, that's true.
The very, very top leaders are in the do nothing mode.
And this is what's going to happen, because you're in the do nothing mode. You won't be able to attract new talents at all.
No. But you see, I think they're not really about attracting new talent anymore.
So correct. So basically, you're just gonna ride,
That's
and
right.
then
That's right.
one day your numbers are gonna dwindle so much. that
One day the numbers will dwindle, maybe. But I think for them, the more the numbers dwindle, so okay lah, less challenger for me within the party, right?
So again,
continue riding lah.
that comes out to that thing, right?
You gotta retire eventually, right?
As a party, what do you stand for? There's nothing you stand for anymore.
They lost everything they stood for when BN first lost. They lost everything they stood for. There's nothing they stand for anymore. Okay, there is also a very tiny chance, but you cannot say there's no chance lah. There is a very tiny chance that after Zahid, the next one, maybe Khairi comes back to UMNO. Maybe UMNO climbs up again. And if UMNO climbs up, I'm not saying UMNO will climb up again. It's a very tall order, but not to say an impossible order. But if UMNO climbs up again, then they just will climb back naturally lah.
But I got a feeling
it's not gonna happen lah.
Even that happens, he may end up working more with DAP. Because I'm just thinking of myself, okay, this is the current Malaysia political landscape as in my own interpretation, okay? Yes. In the past, it was BN, which represented stability, and then the challenger, right? Then there is a PAS. But this used to be one, right? Because both also opposition together, mah.
Yes.
Okay. Now it's a bit different. Now, if you were to categorize, if I as a Rakyat sees it, is DAP and PKR is more of a issue-based political party rather than a race-based political party.
Yes.
Now, however, PKR skew a bit more towards Bumi, right? Now, then when we talk about UMNO, it's a different genre of Malay vote, right? Now, then we have PAS, right? So this is the three big thing there. Now, the truth is, anyone who's aligned with a particular issue, their votes will likely go towards DAP or PKR. It's not going to go much elsewhere because anyone else doesn't really stand for issue. Most of them stands for race or either religion already.
Yes.
So you have only one choice. No other choice, huh?
Okay.
But if you talk about race-wise, then there's UMNO and there's PAS.
Yes.
So
And Bersatu.
Yeah. Like it or not, we know very well that the Malay vote is where the kingmakers are when you talk about race. And that's why we see a lot of Anwar's effort is there. He always champions. Now he's making it very obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like the recent PNB statement as well, you know. He have to show that. Forget about Sabah Sarawak first.
Okay.
To a certain extent, there were also nationalism parties because you're talking about we are Anak Sarawak, right?
Okay.
That kind of level, right? So again, there's no choice other than that party one. Now, DAP try going to Sabah to enter it with that, but even then, you still need to tie back with the Anak Sabah identity to be able to win Sabah election if you really want it, right?
Yes.
Now, so my point comes down to is this, if you look at the overall scenario, right, probably your best bet is give people another choice about an issue-based political party.
I see where you're coming from.
But, right, again, I acknowledge that it is very hard and it's probably near to impossible. It will be higher chance that a new party emerge out of nowhere than
That's what
MCA
I'm teaching to
transform.
say. They might be better off just starting fresh.
Correct. That's right. So what am I trying to imply also is maybe it's time to resign and those that are
the young ones, the idealistic ones.
Yes, because you see, MCA and MIC, whether you like it or not, they have resources one. I mean, so many years, you have resources. It's hard to rebrand if you make it obviously it's a rebrand. Yeah. But you can always switch and build a new party. You can always switch resources and build a new party.
Yeah, I think starting from scratch is much better than trying to rebrand and trying to merge.
That's right. And some way or another, Johor and Malacca kind of can help a little bit. And don't start at national level. That's what I would suggest. Start ground level. Just like I remember how Harapan actually won the people's heart was at ground level. It started with taking over state government first. We see the numbers increasing slowly by slowly. Certain states, buy their opposition leader more because they see actual things that are happening that benefit me, right? So I think maybe my point is this. Maybe it's better off to go back to the most basic of basic and start from there. Yeah. No need to talk so much.
But okay lah. Good luck to them. I feel like changing is not easy lah. Changing does not come easy.
I think it's extremely tough. I think the chances are 99% chance failure lah.
Yes. extremely tough.
Extremely tough. Yeah. Just that if I were to make that bet, I think at least this bet has a bit more dignity in it.
A bit more dignity. But I think this one also we need to address the many people who think that this is a sure win, easy way out if I just jump to Perikatan. No Chinese ma. No credible Indian. So, we jump to Perikatan, sure win. But it's actually not. It's actually not because the big problem that Perikatan has to win is that they need to win their 122 seats in Semenanjung. Right now, we are coming to a point where it is not easy for Sabah and Sarawak to back up Perikatan versus staying with Anwar. I would think most of the Sabah and Sarawak parties will stay with Anwar.
Yes.
In the foreseeable future. So if all the Sabah Sarawak parties stay with Anwar, then Perikatan has nothing else, no other choice. But out of the 165 seats in Peninsular Malaysia, they need to win 122 seats. Very, very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very, very impossible for them to win government. And so if you're not going to win government, you jump there also, you not value add. Will Perikatan give you their winnable seats? I see no reason why PAS will sacrifice 2 or 3 Kelantan seats to MCA and MIC. I just don't see them sacrificing their Kedah, Terengganu winnable seats.
It's hard.
What they will do, they'll say, you know what? In your contest in BN, you only get maybe 20 seats. Now I give you 50 seats. You don't worry, you fight every single DAP. no point.
What's the resources?
Yeah. So it's not going to solve anything for them to jump. I know a lot of their grassroots feel frustrated and see this as the way to satisfy their heart in the short term. But after you jump, the next day you're going to realize that actually you got also no bargaining power in PN.
I don't think it's going to go anywhere, like you say. And whether you like it or not, I think it is an imminent irrelevancy.
So, MIC has gone even further than MCA. The state chapters in their AGM, they also made resolution to say we should leave. I think you should think carefully what you're asking for. Because when you leave, there's really no turning back anymore. And then you're really cutting yourself off anything that you already have now. Whatever little you have now, because you're frustrated, you get nothing after that. Absolutely nothing anymore.
You're going to give more foothold to DAP because the rest will go over.
I don't mind,
but
I think DAP and PK got enough foothold. Whether they leave or don't leave, it won't change. It won't change.
Not even a mind share,
It won't change. Alright.
Not even a competition. Like no more competition removed. Okay, previously already not a competition, but not even an entertainment option that's left.
Indeed.
I think it's quite interesting. For me, I just want to conclude it with this. Over the years, as someone who's born in the 80s with a textbook being printed, always talking about stability and BN, it does bring this sense of like, wow, like you've just seen a rise and a fall of an empire.
It is a rise and fall. It was so difficult to get people to switch from that mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was in a textbook, bro.
Yeah.
Since I was like primary school, reading every single textbook all the way until end of my high school.
I was there in 2008 elections. And even in 2013 elections, it was not easy to persuade every Chinese and Indian to leave that illusion of safety and stability under BN. It wasn't easy.
I still remember when 2018, when Pakatan first won, I remember that night, everyone said don't go out.
Of course.
Remember? Everyone said don't go out, don't provoke, because there could be a May 13 incident coming back. It was only after that first week,
then everyone said,
everyone was like, oh, actually we have a choice.
Yes.
I guess that's history.
All right.
Let's see a new era of how power will be balanced out. I think after we take a break, come back, we're going to talk about the next part of it, which is the Procurement Bill, which involves a question of, is the current government consolidating further power into their hand?
Okay. All right. See you after the break.
Hi, welcome back to the second part of this episode. All right.
So, Peter, what do you have in mind? What do you want to ask me next?
So I think one of the news that caught a lot of headline is this new Procurement Bill.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just being passed, right? And a lot of people are talking about it, saying that this seems like it's going to be a bigger problem. It's going to consolidate more powers into the hand of the finance minister and chief minister and stuff like that. But before we go into all that, let's begin with this question, right?
Okay.
Which I think most of the right guard won't even know. What is the previous procurement process like versus this?
I mean, there wasn't a bill before this. There was treasury circulars. which were not legally binding, which minister can override their own circular, and there was nothing to stop the Minister of Finance from doing as much direct nego as he wanted. There was nothing to stop Najib from doing whatever he did that brought the whole 1MDB scandal and every other corruption case that has happened in the history of this country to happen.
Can you explain more? What does that mean? Like when you put out a circular and then they can override it anytime and then they can do whatever direct.
There was no law saying that tender is preferred. Until this bill was passed, there was no law saying that there shall be tender.
So basically,
there shall be open tender.
It was a Wild Wild West.
It wasn't a Wild Wild West. No, the government still did things
there's
by
still
some
rules,
systems, but there wasn't a law tying the hand of the government to follow certain practices.
Right.
But the government still had practices. The government still this is for amounts less than 20,000, we can direct award. From 20,000 above until 200,000, we do quotations. We do sebut harga. Above 200,000, we must do tenders. And the government had this practice.
Oh, so there is a practice.
There is practice, but this practice is not something that is written in any law that ties the hand of the government.
Oh.
So the government, if let's say the government wanted to build a power plant that is in the range of hundreds of millions or billions of ringgit, it could avoid doing a tender, even though typically a tender is done for anything more than 200,000 ringgit.
Right.
So this law puts into place some framework. Now, did it go all the way to put very hard lines on everything and take away the absolute discretion of the government? Not that far, but still, it did something that is more than what was before, which was nothing.
Right. So to put it in short, last time, those things that govern it were more about norms and practices, not written in law kind of rules, right?
Yes.
So actually what's happening right now is that with this procurement bill, there is now a written law to govern it in that sense.
Now, what happens when you have law? If you were to break the speed limit in law, what happens to you? You get the 300 ringgit saman.
Yep, that's right.
So punitive measures are also in this bill. Like if you break provisions of the law, you can be fined up to 3 times the contract value. And these fines are also includes fining the ministers if the minister is the one who breaks the provisions of the law. So this is new. We didn't have anything like this before. We didn't have a situation. We didn't have rules like this that could punish a minister if the minister decided to go and do a direct nego for something that he should have done by open tender. This is definitely an improvement from that point of view. But there's also, whatever the critics say is also valid. I do give it.
Yes.
But before we go to the critics, there's something else added in the bill which the critics don't talk about, but I think that's also a notable step up from how we've been doing things so far. It's as an appeal tribunal. So the bill establishes a procurement appeal tribunal that is providing an avenue for any aggrieved party to appeal. So if you are now the loser of a tender, you want to appeal, then now there's a tribunal for you to appeal. And this is something that has never existed.
Yeah, but the people appointed to the tribunal.
In every tribunal, in every board in this country, the people appointed to it must be appointed by someone.
Yeah.
It's always appointed by the minister. Just like when we talked about the judiciary a few weeks ago. You cannot run away.
That's right.
How are you going to appoint the judiciary? The Prime Minister has to appoint the judiciary. There's no running away from this. Unless you want to have elections for everything, which is theoretically possible, but practically, I think no ordinary rakyat is going to keep up with, who's a suitable candidate for this position, who's a suitable candidate for that position. So you will come down to the fact that, yes, the minister chooses the tribunal members.
Even if the minister don't choose, he have a select committee to choose, he also need to choose the select committee.
Correct.
And everything.
It's very hard to run from that.
Okay.
All right. So, but this is no different than all the other tribunals that exist today. Housing Tribunal, Labour Court, everything also still comes down to the fact that the minister chooses.
Yep.
We should hold the minister to account.
Yep.
And one of the improvements done by this term of government is to put into the parliament rules, the parliament's standing orders, that the select committees are permanent. They're not as and when the government of the day decides to accept select committees, and so sekejap ada, sekejap tak ada. It is permanently in parliament now that the select committee scrutinize government. And the scrutiny then is exposed. I mean, you see every time PAC do something, it's in the newspaper. So select committees can go in to scrutinize. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. You unless you want to do elections for every position, you got to have the government of the day appoint people. And that's what happens.
So now, this is what
But it's better than no tribunal, right? I mean, if you have no tribunal to appeal, then you just don't have it at all.
So now, this is what people are talking about, right? People are saying that, okay, if great that now you want to come up with a procurement bill. Yeah. And it's good. Last time there's no proper ruling.
Yeah.
Now you have a ruling.
You're right.
But why not just do it more proper? Because it seems like you're leaving a lot of loopholes. Like, for example, putting more power in the hands of the finance minister to have the last say, yada, yada, all these kind of things. It seems like you're purposely creating loopholes so that you can also play around with it.
I think not to say purposely creating loopholes. It is just not absolutely tying the hand of the government. The provisions that you talk about, like giving the minister the powers that the minister has under this bill, I think, in some ideal world, we wish that there's no minister power. Everything just works automatically. We have a machine, the machine just runs, and the minister doesn't intervene and doesn't decide anything. But I think we are still evolving. In all fairness to the government, we are still evolving. The government has, actually not just PMX, actually it goes before that also. The government takes a position of not tying our hands too tight. I mean, look at the URA as an example. While all the aspirations are noble and great, the government has also said many times through ministers, through other representatives, and even the Prime Minister himself has said, this is one-to-one replacement. Whenever we redevelop a piece of land, one-to-one replacement house for every existing homeowner in that affected development. But that one-to-one was not written into the law. It was a commitment given. It maybe is to give the flexibility, because there may be some cases for some reason that you may not want, that may not able to give one-to-one, or for whatever other constraint that is not the government cannot foresee. They don't tie their hands too tight. I mean, if you say the government didn't want to tie their hands, then just don't table this at all, because this was not tabled as a result of protests. It was not like there was a Bersih rally 3 years in a row pushing the government to table this. That's why they tabled this. This one was the government's own initiative.
This is more like voluntary.
Yeah, no one saw it coming, right? I mean, the way everyone...
That's right.
What is the common comment given by a lot of people? Why so fast? Why so rush?
Yes.
And that means you didn't see it coming. That means you didn't pressure it into being.
Yep.
The government volunteered it.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, you want to be fair to the government put in place a lot of things, but it didn't give itself more powers than already existed. Whatever powers that you think the government has given itself in this act, actually it already had before the act. Then you just put the act there to put in place some procedures that the government is basically stepping up. We don't solve everything overnight, but you are stepping up governing. So why don't we tie our hands totally? Maybe this is just part of how you evolve. I would suggest that MPs want to take this seriously. Those MPs that protested, don't stop at protesting when the bill was being tabled and passed. Now it's the time to then test the implementation. 1 year after this, 1 year from today, you should ask question in Parliament. How many times has the minister used the exemption clause? And then we need to study. Why did the PAC should study? Every time the minister used the exemption clause, was it an abuse of power, or was it an unforeseen reason that the minister had to do it in national interest? And after you get a certain amount of test case, so maybe after 3 years or 4 years from now, when we start implementing this bill, then we should go back to Parliament and further improve and fine-tune the exemptions that the minister can give. So this is progressive policy making. It may not be something so popular for the NGOs to hear. I think a lot of NGOs listening to this may want to flame me for saying this, but you try to balance between the practical and the ideal in this sense. That's why I say this. But what do you think about that?
Okay, so here's the question, right? I like the fact that it was being proposed without being asked. That's number one. Number two, I do buy the idea that last time it was in practice, now they put it into law, and I do see the good side of it, because now, yes, although there's loopholes, but now to account for how this issue happened, it's very clear-cut already, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, for example, if let's say the river of life, the river is not being cleaned up properly, now you can trace back into the contract, you can ask what happened, did the minister direct nego or not, did he this, did he that, all this can come out, and they can never hide behind and say, oh, no, this wasn't my department practice. Nothing to hide behind. So it's good in that sense, right?
Yeah.
The only question that still, I think everyone will ask, and I think NGO will ask, is why can't straight away commit, right? Now, is there any reason of not committing? Because it's kind of like saying that within the office, we are going to establish a law that says that everyone have to come at 9:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
However, if you are a department head, you have the right to actually exempt yourself from it, or whoever you appoint.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to establish, why do you want to do that?
Maybe because
like
I know your staff calls you and say like, my son, something happened in school, the headmaster just called me, I need to rush to school, so I might be 1 hour late to work. But oh no, you must be punished. Even though your son fell down and his head is bleeding, but okay, no, you must be punished because you came late. Because I cannot give you an exemption. Because there's no budi bicara. There's no give and take. So how do you strike a balance? Because we cannot give too much exemption. We cannot give always.
Yeah, why not list the clear conditional exemptions?
So I think one way is sometimes you let this thing run for a few years. You study and analyze all the exemptions given. All the time the exemptions were used. The various exemptions throughout the law that the minister has. Why not from time to time, every 2 years, study how is it progressing? Is it ever used? Is it rarely used? In what circumstances is it used? And how do we deal with it? And then that's where we improve. Because it is not easy to just like make the law out of nowhere. The thing is, if let's say you tie it too tight and then you're stuck in one project. Let's say you're stuck with an emergency. The earthquake happened on a larger scale and then you need to do some procurement beyond what the rules currently allow for something that was very unexpected. But if your hands are really, really tight, then you are really, really tight. You see, people don't accept it also. Like COVID, when COVID came, a lot of unexpected, unforeseen things had to be done. And so if you tie your hand too tight, you have no time to go back to Parliament and amend. It takes a lot of time to go back to Parliament to amend. So this is where I can also understand where they are coming from when they do this. But maybe what might have helped is more engagement with the NGOs, the people that are likely to comment on cases like this, to address and to be very frank with them, to sit down in the room face to face, not just engage through the media. It's one thing for NGOs to send a media statement and then you reply the media statement the next day and it goes back and forth. It's one thing to send back and forth on social media, but get everyone in the room, do a few rounds of this and engage to address and to be open to things. And sometimes you don't realize some things and then you can further fine-tune the bill, and maybe more engagement could have helped reduce the shock that people expressed with this bill. But another thing, were you shocked at how fast the bill went through? You were asking timelines.
Correct. So
when was the bill
but
table?
Before we go into that,
okay,
I want to say this one thing, right? Yeah. If I were to, because you asked me this question, what do I think about this bill, right? My answer is that if I think about the intention of the bill, I would give it like, let's say out of 10 points, I'll give it 8 out of 10. Okay. Because pretty good. Right. Now you really start putting up a system. It's part of reformation. But in terms of executing it, here's where I think it's again a 6. The reason why is because, yes, while I do buy the idea that you can't have a perfect bill.
Okay.
I'm realistic enough. I think even if you study for 10 years old, there won't be a perfect bill. Yeah. So, and getting it out as soon as possible could be a good thing because you further prevents corruption. Yeah. Right? So it's a good thing. Now, however, the execution of it, you should have do more engagement before that. I think it could have been like, hey, government is proposing this instead of straight away table. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's sometimes too fast of a good thing it may backfire a little bit. Yeah. So, and that's how I feel about it. I feel like it should have been like, okay, I'm going to hear you. What do you think I should include? Then after you say, but however, this is my version because that's my limitation. Yeah. I can't foresee this. And therefore, I prefer not to tie my hands. Yeah. I think for most people, they can get it. And so then there will be that strong opposition who will never get on board with you. They may speak up and come with a media statement, but at least not everyone.
Not everyone was opposed, but I think you could have dealt with a lot of the
That's right.
objections and shock.
And a lot of the media attention could be on why this bill is good, rather than the overall communication now. It's, are you trying to consolidate further power? It just backfired, right? Like actually what you're trying to do is
So this comes back to communication, always communication and communication. Maybe Peter, you need to pitch.
I think I want to pitch my company as a communication company to government.
But everything that we do, sometimes government is very focused on doing what it needs to do, and it fails to warm up the ground for what it's supposed to do. So it fails to like tell people like, you know what, there's this broad objective you want to achieve.
That's right.
And get people to buy into the broad objective. Okay, then there's this 5 ways to achieve the broad objective. Like people, okay, there's 5 ways. And then like let people debate among themselves, among the 5 ways, pro and con. Then like, okay, let's eliminate 3 of it. Come down to the top 2. Okay, let's eliminate the not so good one among the top 2 and go for the better one.
Yeah.
But it means you need to spend a lot of effort in communication. No? You need to spend the energy.
I think even if you were to tell people that, okay, we're going to, because now the impression that people are also getting, which is a question that I'll be asking you, is that a lot of people feel like, why you approve this bill so fast? Because so many people are having question about it, and then they say they want to bring it through select committee, but it's straight away, very cepat, already approved. So people are wondering like, hey, is there something fishy behind? Lagi lah, worse. Now, if you would have started off just by telling people we're going to propose this in order to prevent further corruption and so on, yes, it's not a perfect bill, but we'll improve it along the way. But let's get it in first. At least I got something. Right. I think people generally buy the idea. Right? Now, so let's move on to the next part, which is this. Is it common for bills to be approved so fast?
Yes. Unfortunately or fortunately, the answer is yes. You see, the way we do parliament now is that we debate as a whole parliament chamber. So 222 MPs are there. Bills are tabled. I think most people would have heard it in school or somewhere. There's the first reading, second reading, third reading, and then the bill is passed into law. So first reading for this bill happened on the 25th of August. The second reading happened on the 27th, and then it was passed on the 28th. So normally the second reading is when the debate happens. And that's when all the MPs, chip in their opinion, their objections, or their support, or their questions to clarify. But Parliament has a lot of bills to go through in every session. Like this recent sitting, the last few weeks, besides the RMK 13, you had to deal with 19 bills. And 19 bills is a lot of bills to get through. And so it means every day you need to pass 1 or 2 bills in most instances, unless some bills are like maybe a bit more special than the others, they get another 2 or 3 days. But you don't have time. You don't have time to go debate for 1 month a bill. It just won't work. If as a whole floor of parliament, everything is debated for a few weeks at length. So you can do that with the budget. You can do that with RMK 13. You can do that with certain bills that are very crucial. But you can't do that with every single bill. It's not practical to drag debate so long. So then, not every MP also can speak on every issue. And that's where the speaker has to control, okay, how many from the government bench, how many from the opposition bench to keep a balance, and how much of time is given to each speaker to keep the balance. If too many people want to speak, then maybe everyone speak for less. If like less people are going to speak on both sides, maybe something very technical, then maybe 3 speakers from each side, but they get to speak very much longer because it's very technical, very in-depth. So it's difficult to juggle when you're debating something with the whole house having to debate, and you need to get through 50 bills a year. So how many days can you spend on a bill on average? If you need to put that frame of mind, I need to rush through 50 bills a year. Some are brand new bills, some are amendments, but I need to go through 50 bills a year. You can't spend much time. And that's why I think it's high time we evolve into the select committee system. Now, we already have select committees, can play 2 roles in any legislative body. One is to investigate. So our current select committees are of investigative nature. So they like pick up an issue, like malnutrition. So the health select committee wants to study malnutrition. It calls the ministry officers, it calls NGOs, it studies the issue, then it presents a report to Parliament, and the report contains recommendations. So I've sat on various select committees in my 12 years as an ADUN, and we have looked at all kinds of issues and presented all kinds of recommendations to the government. But the second role that select committees could do, which we don't do enough of, it happens from time to time, very rarely, but it happens. It has happened before, but it should happen in every single bill, is that the select committee can scrutinize and should scrutinize bills. So rather than put a bill to the whole floor to debate in 1 day and wrap it up and pass it, put the bill to the select committee, give the select committee 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, and let you debate it. So the passage of Parliament is not interrupted because the select committee operates parallel to the Parliament main chamber. So whatever the agenda, so while the budget debate is happening in October, November this year, the Parliament will be tied up for about 4 weeks or so with the budget debate. While Parliament is going on with the budget debate, there could be a parallel debate, something to do with health, something to do with environment, refining the bill, looking into it. And if the select committee finally approves the bill in the original version or an amended version, then that version goes to the Parliament floor for the whole Parliament to adopt it. Then it's maybe 2 hours of speeches from other members who are not part of the bill, or just it'll be less debated on the floor because it's been heavily scrutinized by a select committee. So this happens in Western countries. This happens in first world countries. I think it's high time.
I think America is like that, right?
America is definitely like that. America is a situation where your congressman is sitting on every day in Congress, not in the Kawasan. Here's the other way around. Here is like Parliament sits for like 70 days plus minus a year, and the rest of the time you're in your Kawasan. So it's quite the opposite.
Yeah.
We should go in that direction. I think the one of the other benefits when the select committee does it is because then there's no time limit. The select committee focusing on this bill, just focus on this bill. He doesn't need to worry about other bills.
That's right.
The select committee studying this government procurement bill does not hold up an Education Act amendment.
That's right.
It doesn't hold up an Environmental Act amendment. Those sit in those various select committees and take their time there too.
Yes.
So then bills like I sit on the board of PTPK. I shared with you earlier the one that the body that lends money for TVET courses, and we need to update our bill. There's some provisions to help us enforce loan repayment. And ever since I joined PTPK until now, in the last 2 years, we are waiting in queue for our turn to go to Parliament.
Huh?
Yes,
2
we're
years?
waiting in queue. Yes,
2
we're
years?
waiting in queue. But because government has to always prioritize what are the most important at any one point of time.
Wow, 2 years.
Yeah, and that's not unusual.
Okay.
The Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act, the Energy Efficiency Act, that also took a couple of years, I think.
Wow.
If everyone needs to wait for a queue to go to the main chamber, bills will wait.
Yes.
And that's why it's not easy to keep coming back and amend bills.
And it
that's
will
why
be always those media sensation one.
only the media sensation that gets covered up.
Yep.
I mean,
You'll get a cut queue lah.
Yeah.
That's precisely lah. And here's another thing that I actually think that what you suggest is good. Because the truth is, right, within a whole parliament, there's 200 over people. Not everyone is interested on a particular subject and well-read enough to contribute.
Correct.
So if you're actually wasting a lot of people's time because you're actually putting up a bill and then to debate.
This is why you see the parliament chairs all empty.
Yeah, everyone
Because
very boring.
they go and do other work.
Correct.
While
So
waiting.
At least everyone go back into what is interested to you and you select to go in lah.
Yeah.
Then you contribute accordingly. Let's say, for example, I think it's very practical where let's say I'm an MP of particular Kawasan. I think I'm more interested in a congested longkang, right?
Yeah.
That matters to me. I will knock on the door of the select committee and I'll go there and put it on record. This is what I've said.
Yeah.
Put it on record. This is what I've said about this as well. And the ones that I highly am passionate about and have the skill set to deal with, I sit in the select committee. What happens is that maybe the number of bills that can be approved
Will
could
increase.
by
Will
double
increase.
maybe.
See,
Never know.
One is the number of bills that get approved a year will go up if you do it this way, because then they just come to the main chamber for maybe 1-2 hours, 3 hours and done, because they spend 1 month already in the select committee. The second thing is the scrutiny level will go up. Now, you see the bill on 25th August, first reading. 27th August, you start the debate, second reading. Then by 28th August, you
Where
pass
got
the bill.
time?
So people feel very rushed. Now, if you're an MP, a lot of MPs do not feel rushed. A lot of MPs are able to read, understand, and know that, okay, this one got no problem, just let it go. So that happens from time to time. And then sometimes you feel very rushed. I feel very taken aback, especially if I've not been doing this for 10 years. I feel very rushed. I feel very taken aback. Select committee, then the thing can sit down there. You don't have to sit for 1 month in a row, like every day. But you can sit 1 day a week for 1 month. And in between that, you got time to digest. You got time to receive visits from interested NGOs to give their feedback and hear feedback. You got time to digest the feedback on social media. And that is much more helpful towards making better laws than rushing them through the main chamber. I think it's really, really time we go down that road.
Agree. If you guys think that this is the way that we should go, agree in the comment below. Now let's take a quick break and we come back. We will talk about the next subject, which will be related to MP salaries.
Okay. See you after the break.
Hello, welcome back to the third part of this episode. Alright, so Rajiv, this is a spicy topic. I think it's spicy both in Indonesia and Malaysia now. But in Indonesia, it has gone to a different level where there's a riot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and this whole topic is all about Indonesian MP receiving a controversial housing allowance. So currently, apparently it said that their monthly stipend is about 50 million rupiah. So that's about 3,000 USD. Yeah, which is 10 times the minimum wage of the people in Jakarta. And that sparked a great outrage. And for those of you who do not know, this escalated even further because during one of their riot, a 21-year-old was being killed, right? And from there, it went on further into police brutality and all these kind of things. So let's just begin with this. What do you think about this whole stipend thing? Do you think this amount of allowance is actually obscene in the context of Indonesia?
Wow, that's a heavy question to answer. I mean, I do understand that Jakarta has a high cost of living and you want to pay your MPs a fair wage, considering that you want to get the capable ones to be MPs and not just all the capable ones work in MNCs and then nobody wants to serve in government. But at the same time, you need to balance sensitivity with the people. And I think one of the things that sparked the riots and the protests is like the tipping point between angry and, wow, I'm really going to do something about my anger. Can we show a video?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's show this video.
Okay, for those who are listening via our podcast here, you can check out our YouTube to watch the video.
This is Indonesia's parliament. And yes, they're dancing, but not for the people. While millions of Indonesians struggle with soaring food prices, lawmakers were caught celebrating a pay boost. Housing allowances worth thousands of dollars every month. Their base salary may look small, just a few hundred, but with perks and benefits, it skyrockets into the tens of thousands, far beyond what ordinary citizens can ever earn. In a country where minimum wages are only a fraction of that, these dance moves feel less like joy and more like a painful reminder of how disconnected politicians have become from the people they claim to represent.
I think, the side of the lawmakers passing their increased allowance and not doing it from a somber point of view, but rather that they're dancing and celebrating it, I think that must have pissed off way too many people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially when the housing allowance itself is 10 times higher than most of the wages of the people living in Jakarta. This is not talking about the rest of their salary package. It's something that we should be mindful always. Like, how do you manage doing everything that you do in government while being mindful of the people's pain and sensitivity? Cost of living is definitely on the rise. I mean, it's not an Indonesian problem. We are facing it in Malaysia. It's a global thing, and it's not something that a government can just subsidize their way out of it. So how do you balance the two? I mean, Peter, you're not a politician. You should say first. How do you feel when you watch this? Do you feel like joining them to riot?
I think when I see the dance part, definitely that's not very sensitive.
Yeah,
that's very, very insensitive, in fact. Right, it felt like a celebration, and yes, you should celebrate, but I think not in such a manner, not in such a context. Now, number two, do I think that this is obscene? In my opinion, it's quite obscene. Yeah, because you're talking about housing allowance. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's the context in Jakarta in terms of food, everything all, but I think definitely this kind of income. It is not a very normal big package. It is a
obscene amount.
Obscene big. You're talking about expat level kind of package. I mean, I could be too not broad vision enough or whatnot, but from what I've seen here, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I think this is something that is a good reminder to everyone around the world, all politicians around the world, to balance. You want to be very sensitive every time you do something that highlights the inequality in society. You want to always be very careful at that. I think one of the other things when it comes to pay packages, besides doing it sensitive, doing it with empathy, with sensitivity, is what happened after that. I mean, there were a number of these MPs who were very defensive, who were not ashamed, and who were continuously defending their actions.
That's right.
As the riots were proceeding. I mean, I think if you want to resolve anything, that's not the way forward. And this clearly shows the disconnect between the MPs and the people. The Indonesian president has stepped in, talking about rolling back the allowances. A number of the MPs have been suspended by their respective party for speaking a bit too brazenly. And I think that's at least the minimum they can do. But it also shows that as government, it's a strong reminder that you got to ensure that you not only do but communicate. But in order to communicate, you must do first. You must have an agenda for the people's well-being. If you have an agenda for the people's well-being, if you spend all year talking about how you're making their life a little bit easier, the thing is, you want to talk, you must do.
Correct.
It's very hard to talk when you don't do.
Correct.
It's easy to talk when you are in the first 1 year of office ever, but when you're talking about a political party, they are there for like decades and decades. You need to always be doing so that you can keep talking that, I'm doing this to make your life a little easier. I'm doing that to make your life a little easier. I'm doing that to bridge the gap here and there. And when you're always doing and you're delivering, then I think that's where people can be a bit more receptive.
Yeah, I think the whole thing here is communication is one very big issue regardless of the amount. I think be it 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is, communication is still key, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I want to bring up the other part of this conversation that's not relating to Indonesia itself, but generally everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
How much do we pay a lawmaker is always a very controversial topic, whether we like it or not. Because, it's a full-time job, there needs to be paid, but there's this question of do you pay more, do you pay less? We have different kind of philosophies all around. For example, in Singapore, it is always about paying them more.
Okay.
Because his philosophy is you pay peanuts, you get monkeys, right? So they're paid very well. Now, in Malaysia here, there was a period that the salary of an MP was also highly debated, right? I can't remember the exact package. You probably know it better. But I think here's where it's interesting because you're not MP, you're an adun. So you definitely don't get as high a pay. For aduns and MPs in Malaysia also, I think a few years back, there was a pay increase. Right?
Quite a lot. 11 years ago.
11 years ago. It was a big jump and then it kind of maintained there, right? Yes. So, can you first explain to us what is the pay package of MP like or either Adun like as well?
So, the basic pay for an MP is 16,000 ringgit a month. And then with the various allowances, some are fixed, like telephone allowance, and some are variable, like meeting allowance. Every time Parliament is in session, every day you get a meeting allowance. Every time you attend a government meeting outside of Parliament session, you also get a meeting allowance. From my conversations with MPs, you roughly take back about 26,000 all in a month. I think for me, the better way to look at it is the total pay package, because sometimes the division of it, you can quarrel left, quarrel right, but in the end of the day, it's the what they take back in total lah. So for MPs is 26,000, and then at the state assembly level, you got so many states, so every state is different lah in what you take back. This is the gross pay. On top of that gross pay, most political parties, especially those who are formerly opposition, will heavily tax.
The
allowances.
So I heard. DAP one need pay 30% or something like that, right?
So different parties have different amount. For DAP, for Aduns, I have to pay 20% of my income into DAP's funds.
But do you pay government tax to start with?
Okay, so on your basic allowance, your that's 16,000, and then for aduns, like for Selangor, 11,250. That one is tax exempt. But any other income you get, that's not tax exempt.
So you get the other form of that, party tax.
You get a party tax.
But it's higher, about 20%.
Yeah. It's higher.
Not marginal return, right? It's bulat 20, right?
Bulat 20.
So it's a higher tax. Right. Now, so for at Adun level, your total pay package comes up to how much?
Total, I take back 17.
Okay, so
you're really making me.
Yes. So which I'll ask you
but
the next question.
Do you know something? You don't have to ask an MP how much he earns. You don't have to ask a state assemblyman. You just go online.
Yeah, actually it's open, right?
Because all of this income of MP and aduns are in the Act. The Parliament has the
Yep.
Akta Saraan, the
That's right.
Parliament, the
That's
states.
right.
Every state also has the enactment. So actually it's just a matter of searching for the
That's
Act
right.
and the enactment, and you can get all the figures.
Yeah, it's just that there's a lot of allowance. So then
Yeah.
that's where you're like,
But it's all
do
in
you
that-
plus this or you do not plus this?
Yeah,
Then some
yeah.
people will say that because I understand there are certain allowances on claim basis as well.
Yes.
Yeah, like for example, activities on ground, that kind of thing. Yeah, like you were telling me the 1 million, 2 million. Some people choose to lump that in as a whole package. Some people choose not to as well. So I think that's where it's a bit.
I think we separate two things lah. One is the money that's going into your bank account for yourself. This will include your base pay, your housing allowance, your phone allowance, and a few other items. So this one goes into your bank account. This is what you get every month for the work that you do. All of this money, every party takes 20-30% as the party tax. All right. Then you've got your constituency funds. This is different. This does not go to your personal bank account. So we talked about last time, right? The money for small projects, the money for functions and all that. This does not go through my bank account.
Okay.
This is office money.
What about like, I've heard that there is allowance for traveling as well. Like for example, going for holiday kind, like especially at the ministerial position, right? Yeah.
That's not at my level.
Yeah.
That if I'm not mistaken, that applies to ministers.
There's a minister level, right?
that's
They
not
can
a-
bring their family for holiday with a certain budget or something like
Yes.
that.
So I did not speak to the specifics of that. Yes, I've heard of that, but I did not speak to the specifics of that. But that is, I think, once a term privilege for ministers. If I'm not mistaken,
Or once a term lah.
Once a term.
Right, right.
But I think if we get your good friend Syed Saddiq to come on the
Yeah.
show, he can
Oh.
Specify in greater
Yes.
detail all these perks.
Yes,
that
that's
they
his
get.
passion topic, which I'm thinking about getting him on to talk about this once again, right?
Yeah.
Since this has been brought up. Living to the part is, I want to ask you this question. Do you think MPs or lawmakers in general, whether is it MP or Adun, is paid fairly in that sense? Because this is a question that until today, I'll be very honest with you, I don't have a very strong answer if
Alright.
we are talking about the take-home pay coming in at about 26,000. Okay,
Yeah.
because here's my opinion.
Yeah,
I think doing your role is a very stressful role.
very.
Yeah,
And it's very uncertain your future.
correct. Number one, it's either you're politically gonna continue or not gonna continue. And after you finish, what are you gonna do, right? And you could end in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, right? Say you're an engineer, you're also probably not gonna go back and practice engineering, right? So there's a lot of question mark. That's number one. Number two, it is a role where it exposes you to a lot of mental health issues, which I think that if you're a good MP or good adun, I can see how much it wears you down. Yeah, like I'll be honest, like time to time when I see people like Hannah or even like some other ministers, you can see as they are in those positions, and like you can see it's always thinking about certain things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like a CEO running a company. It's not that easy. And my thought is, if I'm a CEO running a company with 30 people or 40 people, I deserve to be paid 20,000. Why shouldn't this guy who, if he's doing his job, running a whole district with 20,000?
I think you said the magic word, if he's doing his job. And therein lies the problem, because there is, different opinions by different people on whether your MP is doing the job.
Yep.
So even though your MP may be working all day, every day, your constituents may not feel you're doing the job. And that's one of the risks of the job. And I dare say, in enough times when your constituents feel you're not doing the job, it's also very possible that you're not doing your job. But the difficulty lies is you cannot go and ask your constituents to vote. Okay, should we pay this? Should you pay your MP 100% of his salary, 50% of his salary, 80% of the salary, and have like a public opinion to decide how much to pay your MP? It's too difficult to run, and so such is the nature that if all MPs get the same MP allowance, everyone takes home the same amount of money, but not everyone puts in the same amount of work. It's just human nature that way. You just got to hope that based on the democratic processes within the party and in the general elections, that the ones who don't put in their work will be removed from office and replaced by other aspiring people who pledge to do better work. But other than that, it is true. I think if you look across any state assembly, you would have the very hardworking aduns. You would have moderately hardworking aduns, and then you have the maybe a bit on the lazier side aduns. And if you look at Parliament, 222 MPs, it's impossible to say that all of them have the same level of hardworkingness. Impossible.
Yeah.
And so you'll have some that hardly work, and then you will have some that work so hard. So how much is the right amount? What's the formula? I think that's quite a difficult question to answer. Some countries may attempt to justify the pay, linking it to certain professions. I think that's one way to go about it. Linking it to like, okay, you want this kind of caliber of MP, so what is their equivalent that you get? But I do know a lot of people who have taken a pay cut. I do know people who have gotten a windfall increase in salary when they hold office. And then, but the flip side is I also know a lot of people who took a pay cut to go into office. So it happens both ways.
Yeah, that's true. These are one of those difficult questions to solve, but yet very sensitive.
Yes.
I would say that I think if the person is doing the job, 26,000 is too little. Yeah, 17,000 is also too little. Some more on top of that, they got 30% some more. Yeah. But for people who are not doing a job, then it's a little bit too much.
Yes.
So
how you find that balance?
correct.
Man?
Yeah. And here's where, right? I was thinking to myself, like, can there be a system, right, where you account it on the idea that you set certain key KPIs, that the salary ranges between a fluctuated amount, right? Let's say ranges between not doing work versus doing work, but have it as objective.
What would you suggest as a KPI?
For example, strict cleanliness, right? For example...
But then is that the MP's job? Or is that the local council's job?
See...
And then how you hold the MP
correct.
accountable for the local council?
Correct. So here is where the question is, how do you develop a system where, let's say, you just have 2 or 3 key measures? Doesn't need to be a lot. And I don't think that it should fluctuate the pay from 50% to, that kind of thing. Maybe just a 10% difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that 10% difference gives you a direction to look at. Or either even give on top of the current one another 10%. Even if it's an extra incentive.
So if you talk about incentive, then the incentive that happens now is this thing called meeting allowance. So whether you skip parliament or whether you attend parliament makes a difference in your pay package. So for MPs, it's 400 ringgit a day, and that could add up to quite a bit every time parliament is session, whether you skip parliament or you attend parliament. Yeah, it adds up quite a bit. That's your 10% variation. In fact, I think maybe a bit more than 10% over there.
More.
400 ringgit a day. So it works up to more than 10%
but I think
variation.
attending parliament...
See, no matter what KPI you do, there's always a turnaround. When you force MPs to attend parliament, so they will attend parliament, they will clock in their attendance, but then after that, are they debating?
Correct.
Or do you want to pay by how many minutes you talk in parliament? But then you get people hogging the mic. Hogging the mic and talking. I think these suggestions may be interesting for policy geeks to think about, but I think the ordinary rakyat is not very concerned.
That's right.
Or not very amused by these kind of discussions. I think what they are looking for is they want a government that cares. They want a government that delivers. And so I think this is where if a government doesn't deliver, how difficult it is to kick the government out the next round. If your MP doesn't deliver, how easy or how difficult it is to replace your MP the next round. I think that's very key to ensure that the people who hold the position, fine, you get paid, but you must deliver. If not, you're out.
This is where I think, right, it will be good, right? The first step towards all this is, I know this is not that related to the salaries suddenly, but I believe it will have an effect, which is the election of local councils.
Of course. I fully support the election of local councils.
Because I think, right, just like what we talk about, all aduns have certain influence towards a local council selection. And so they are your arms and hands.
Yeah.
And when you have the voting thing in place, you allow the people to decide who is really performing and who's not.
Yeah.
At the local level at least. Maybe not at the national level.
I think national level too, you can decide.
Yeah, but at least at the local level, right? So at the local level, when you see that, then automatically, I think even by increasing an adun salary, becomes something that is more justifiable. Because the issue now is, honestly, I think that the pay that's given to all MPs and aduna is after equalizing it at the lower range.
Okay.
I mean, assuming 26,000 is the full package.
Yeah.
You do have all the extra allowance of ministers and yada yada yada.
That's a minister pay package, which is different from an MP.
This is just basic, right?
Yeah.
No. Because if a person who's managing a constituents of 300,000 people, right, with so many moving parts, you are literally running a mini organization. That's quite big. Huh? And it's a very difficult organization to manage. So I consider it as, if I were to benchmark it, you're a mini CEO of a small little MNC, right? And so having a 30,000 to 50,000 pay is actually steady. So we average it down to 26. It's okay lah.
I think this is where the person you're talking to makes a big difference, because enough people you talk to will give the feedback that, hey, this is not much, this is fair. And enough people you talk to will say, oh my God, that's obscene, that's crazy.
Correct. So it depends, right, what you benchmark against, right? If you benchmark against a Grab driver, obviously it's obscene. But if you benchmark it on a corporate level, then you say that this person is managing this kind of area. I think it's not easy. Yeah. And now, the next thing is this. Because they can elect the local council and they didn't work very closely with the local council have to show results now immediately. And because if the local council don't show result, remember just now we said the street cleanliness?
Okay.
Right? This is where it ties in suddenly.
Okay.
Right? It ties in already suddenly. I don't need to say that whether is it your office or not. Yes, it's a local council's job to make sure the streets are clean. Okay. But you, as a lawmaker, you should have the foresight of appointing the right people or making sure that you work with the right group of people to get my streets clean.
Okay, that's a very radical way forward, which I think no country in the world has tried
and now,
before.
right, if you think about it, like if let's say Adun's pay is 25k, let's say, right, after tax and everything, party tax or whatever not, right? But every 3 years, I have a council election, and you will be thinking about, okay, how do I increase the revenue of my place? How do I do a lot more things? Because that will be the focus, because 3 years, if my council member are not doing the right thing, I'm not going to get elected again, man. So, and you think about it to a certain extent, the representative of people are appointed there to manage these local council bodies to do their work,
Part of their job.
Yeah, part of the job,
Because government is a lot more than just local council.
Okay, it's a lot more. And a big skill set of a Adun or even an MP. Eventually, the highest aim is to be a minister or whatnot, right? Which means that you need to have certain leadership skills as well. You need to be able to maneuver people, and that is probably one of the very important skill set as a politician nonetheless. So if you're just a politician who knows how politics but cannot maneuver people and work with government body, that also proves that you do not have the qualification of an ability to go to the higher level.
Yeah.
And now, whenever you promote someone from an Adun level to an MP level, there's track result for the party to see as well. No, like, hey, this guy, he has been able to work with local council very well. And every time we work with local council, he can transform the place from an ugly place can become beautiful place. Hey, track record speaks, Now, even if you're Adun, right, maybe you don't know how to suck up to your boss or whatsoever. Hey, but I got track result show, no?
Yeah. I would love if the system was like that.
Yeah,
I would love it. I would love it so much if the system was a track record based system. I think for those who are interested, you can go search up for my previous election report cards.
Okay, I think everyone, right? I personally say this one because this is what I always think. I know a lot of people say, hey, Peter, why you want to talk about this kind of thing on the show? Because it's not going to happen, right? But this is my opinion. The truth is, think about 1MDB. It also started from people talking about it. So I think that fulfills the mission of this particular channel.
Alright.
Is to provide a platform to have a conversation, and people raise out the concern, and hopefully it catches attention.
Yeah, let's see if enough people buy into this idea and how to draw up that. I know some NGOs have tried to draw KPIs, maybe not salary driven objective, but KPIs to measure Aduns, MPs, councillors, and it has always been very difficult to draw that up. But it's a work in progress, and if enough people put their minds to it, I'm sure eventually one day we will come up with a metrics that is acceptable.
I think for me, no need the KPI first. First thing is local council election. Okay. Because it's very hard to tie a KPI. If local council is not doing their job, I tie KPI for Adun also no use. You will no direct influence over it to a certain extent. Yeah. So what's the point? You need to some sort have a influencing power on an area.
Yeah. I would love to see local government elections come into place.
Yeah. So please, everyone put local council in the comment if you all like that, right? Okay.
Right. But I think maybe to wrap up on this part, I have one suggestion that I heard many years ago. I'll be frank, wasn't my idea, but I think that will go a long way to reducing dissatisfaction of this whole idea of lawmakers deciding their own salary. Is that whenever you decide any increment, because rarely it goes the other way around, but whenever you decide any increment of anything, whether housing allowance, the base pay or whatever it is, that increment should only take effect after the next election. That way, you need to go back to the people, and if people are all very angry at your increment, they'll kick you out, and you won't taste that increment.
That's right.
But you cannot increase it today and start enjoying it today, because maybe that's one way to make everyone very careful. Like, okay, if I want to put in any increment, it will be subject to waiting until the next election for it to take effect. So maybe that's something that we could consider in this country, to put in place a policy like that. Then, maybe 1 year or 2 years, 1.5 years before the next election is due, if there's any proposal to increase, okay, bring it up then. But it will affect how you attract talent for the next election.
Yeah.
Not how you reward people who already are in the seat.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
because
it should be put into written.
The excuse is you want to attract talent. You need to attract talent, and I would say that it's very fair to be skeptical towards that. But there are lots of people who turn down position. Did you know there are MPs today? I know MPs today who turn down deputy ministership that was offered to them because their current business that they're doing on the side of being an MP is earning them so much more than they would earn as a deputy minister. And so they said, thank you so much for the offer and the trust. I also never lobby for it. Thank you for offering to me, but I need to turn it down because I can't afford. There's also, I also know an Adun in Selangor that would have been exco if he wanted, because he was preferred to be the exco, but he's like, I can't afford to give up my practice, and I can't afford to give up that income. So I will just be a backbencher. And this is real. And so you lose talent when you don't pay enough.
That's right.
And this is something that is not just theoretical. I've actually come across. I don't name their names on this podcast. I don't think it's fair to them. But I actually know individuals who actually decline the job because of the income. The income is too little for them to pursue this job. I also know people who have taken the plunge. They have to get their wife's permission, blessing, but they have significantly dropped their income to take on this role. And not everyone is able to make that sacrifice. This thing called golden handcuffs in life, right? Sometimes when you're already at a certain income level, let's say if you're earning 60,000 ringgit a month steadily, your house, your car installment, everything is at that level, then suddenly ask someone to drop to 26,000, I cannot, man.
Difficult.
I just cannot do that. So thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. Yeah, so hopefully that's something that can be tabled out as a bill and approved fast.
Approved through rigorous discussion in the select committee.
So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in this episode. We will see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.